Well, good early afternoon. I guess still morning. It's just about 11 o'clock here Eastern time. So I guess good morning is the way to go. Good morning, everybody. Ron Wheeler here, and I will be the. Oops, I forgot to turn the microphone on for our folks in the webinar. So sorry about that. Good morning, everybody. For those of you that are joining us, glad to have you with us. Ron Wheeler here, and I will be the host of today's How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And I always like to start the class just a couple of minutes early because it lets me make sure that everything is working properly. Kind of like there, I forgot to turn the microphone on for one of my streaming things. So now I know that it's working. I caught that early, so I don't have to talk for like 10 minutes and be like, nobody can hear me. Now, speaking of hearing, do me a favor. If you can hear my voice and if you can see my screen, just give me a quick shout out in the chat window. Just say yes and that you can hear me and see my screen at the same time or separately. Either way. All right. Loud and clear, I see. Yes, I can hear you. Yes, 5x5. Fred, I see you. And Jim. Yes, yes, yes. All right, good deal. Lots of people chiming in there. Yes, can hear you great. Can see the screen. All right, good deal. So that means everything is working. Now, this is a good time, by the way, to find that chat section because that's how you're going to interact with us during the class today. So while the class is going on, feel free to ask questions. I've got my teammates here to help me with questions during the actual presentation. And then at the end, we're going to do a Q&A session to kind of wrap everything up to make sure that nobody has any following questions. All right. Now, also, while we're waiting for the official class to start, it's just a couple minutes until it does. I'm just kind of wondering, what time is it by you? You know, this is probably one of the earlier seminars I've ever done at 11 a.m. for this. Normally, I do these in the afternoon and then in the evening, but we got an early one today. It's kind of interesting. It's just about 10:58 here. I'm in Ohio, by the way. VectorVest has offices in Ohio and in North Carolina. I work out of the Ohio office. Today, I'm actually working from my home office, so I'm not even in the office. I'm in my house. So what time is it by you guys? All right, 10:57 I see, 10:57, 10:58, 10:58. Now I see the difference in chiming in now. Looks like a lot of you guys are in the same East Coast time frame as I am. I see a couple out there at 8:58. So that's like mountain time, I guess, 2 hours difference. And then a couple of you out west too. Wow, 7:58. You're getting up pretty early for this one. So cool. Looks like we got mostly all over the US it looks like, or Canada. And then also, while we're just kind of chatting, what do you do for a living? Retired? You still working? I'm just kind of curious. You know, when I created this concept, I created it. Well, first off, I kind of created it for me because I've been trading this way for probably about 15 years. But the reason I did what I did with what I'm going to show you today is because I used to be a day trader. And I spent 6 or 7 hours a day in front of my screens. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I wanted to have less time in front of my screen trading and more time to do the things I wanted to do. You know, I worked from home at the time and I love playing golf. I was able to kind of convert most of my trading over to the options world, which I'm going to show you today, and really take a lot of my time away from the screen with longer term trades. So when I introduced this system to the VectorVest folks, we actually introduced it with more of the retiree in mind, kind of like, hey, you're not working anymore. You want to spend spend an hour a week with your trading, investing, making some income. You know, this is a great way to do it. But again, I'm not retired. I'm 47, but it's one of the main ways I do it. So, yep, I see a couple guys retired. I see Fred and Jim popping in there right there. Looks like retired. Still working. Hope to retire this year. David retired. So it looks like a lot of you guys are retired. So that's good. Now, well, it's good because I'm jealous. But number two, it's good because this is a good way that you can passive. I hate to say that word passive because it's passive income. I don't want to mean it like that. It's a more passive way that you can invest. You don't have to be sitting there with your eyes glued to the screen, is what I mean. You can get on with your life and do a couple of trades a week that have a good degree of success. All right, with that, it is 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, so let's go ahead and kick this bad boy off. I want to officially get started. I want to welcome all of you to today's webinar called How to Generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. And I'm going to be showing you the system that I created for my own trading, and then I introduced here at VectorVest that's going to help you generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has not only changed my life in the way that I trade, but the best part is I've seen it change the lives of so many people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. Now, in this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per month or more. Now, keep in mind, It doesn't matter what the market direction is, up or down, makes no difference. You can do it if you have little to no prior experience. This is safer than just going out there and buying and selling stocks. And it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, if I were in your shoes, I might be thinking, hey, that sounds a little bit too good to be true. And you might be thinking, is it legit? And you want some proof. Well, I would too. Because I see those, overhyped advertisements on Facebook and, all these influencers with their crypto schemes and all that stuff. I'm not like that. I'm going to show you the results of my 3% goal. This is 2023. I trade with a real money account with my clients. Each week we placed live trades together. The Paycheck system we use made over $37,000 in our $100,000 account. That's an average of about 3.1% per month. And I want you to take a look at the average winner. It's about $1,000. My average loser, about $1,000. I don't have big losses. I don't have massive gains. Everything I do is very structured. I made money in 8 months out of 12, and overall for the year, about 3%. Now this year, starting out so far, obviously I don't have the April stats yet, but I'm up around 10.2%. My average winner, 887. My average loser, 755. I lost a little bit of money in January. February and March, I was profitable. So we'll see what happens. But this is something that I've consistently done for the last 15 years. Okay? I'm not promising massive gains. I'm just promising a consistent, reliable income stream. All right. I've been teaching the students since 2016. And one of my recent students sent me this email in December. And he said, hey, Ron, just wanted to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course back in September. I've been using the method and tracking my performance and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st, 2023 with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their income in retirement. I love to hear that. I love to hear it because, listen, I know what I've done in the past, but I love seeing what actual clients have done with it because that really, to me, is the key to success. And there's another lesson here. You don't need to dedicate $100,000 to this. You can start small while you learn and practice because it builds up very nice and quickly. For example, if you started with $5,000 and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you at over $1 million. And if you start with $25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than 5 or 25, you can get there much, much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you. We're going to talk about a few of them today, and these are real people just like you. So as I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay attention because you might find you're in a very similar position now as they were when they started. Now, again, my name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. And when I first started, like a lot of traders, the first couple of years, I had mostly losses. In fact, I actually blew out a couple of my trading accounts, took them all the way down to basically zero. And the reason I was losing was because trading is hard. Not only do you have to pick the right direction, so if I bought something, it had to go up. If it didn't go up, I lost. Then, once you kind of get direction under your belt, then you got to make sure that your winning trades are paying for all your losing trades. It's a hard thing to juggle as a new trader. But as I kind of developed into a trader and started dabbling with different things, I used options a little bit, but I never really liked options. But kind of a big eye-opening aha moment came to me when one of our clients, I taught technical analysis software at the time. I'd been a decent trader at that point, so my company trusted me to actually teach it. He came to our office. He was actually a hedge fund manager. And he said he showed me the secrets to how, where I think the big guys or the institutionals trade and make money. A long story short, he showed me the inside secret to using options so that if I'm wrong with my analysis, I could still make money. He showed me how to use options in a way that not only controlled my risk, it also stacked probability. Basically, I could trade, and even if I was a little bit wrong with my direction, I could still make money and be profitable. Also, it controlled risk. I had a maximum profit, I had a maximum loss. Think of the pressure that takes off you. All the money management's there, and you don't even have to be right necessarily to make money. I was really interested in options from that point on. I realized I'd been trading options incorrectly, and I started to dabble a little bit more and more in options. And for probably the next 7, 8 years, I did mostly commodities, mostly day trading, and I started dabbling with options. And then around 2010, I got a lot more serious about options. And then really in 2012 is when I made that shift from doing mostly commodities and day trading to doing really more passive options trading. So what you're going to see today is that concept. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate those types of returns. I'm going to show you, more importantly, case studies and examples of our clients who are doing it. And I'm going to show you the system. So if you learn and follow the strategy, you can repeat it. And I want you to stay with me till the end because I put together a nice checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a PDF I'll put right in the handout section of the webinar. I'll drop it right in there. So click on it, you can print it right out. But do me a favor, remind me when I get to the Q&A because, a lot of times after about an hour of talking, I completely forget. Okay? All right. Why is this such an important topic? Well, without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If we're not retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have an impact on our lives, our health, even our relationships. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with how much prices have gone up so much in the last few years. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you run out of money during retirement. However, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I think this is probably the most important point of the webinar. So pay close attention, even write down what I'm about to say. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say it again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. That allows you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. Now, as I said, I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing an income, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Brian had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using the options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit, starting with just $6,000. He said he achieved a 100% winning trade rate in 10 months. 31 of 31 winning trades using our basic system. Now, the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It was the result of following the system. It's the system that helped Brian get that 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 in profit. And again, starting with just $6,000 in 10 months safely. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns is a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even if you're wrong. Now, the reason why you want to be the casino or the house is that, number one, the house always wins in the end, right? Now, the house may have a bad day. Maybe somebody hits a mega jackpot of $12 million on a slot machine. Guess what? They're still going to win. Why? Why do they always win? Because they control and stack probability. The paycheck system is built around you doing the same, stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, how do you do it? Well, the first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic trading system, as he says he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so either buy shares of it or you buy a call option. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, mainly because when you started learning options, it's what you were taught to do. If you think a stock will go up, you buy a call on it. If you think a stock will go down, you buy a put on it. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, wrong stock, or this is what really killed me in the beginning. It doesn't go up enough. I think a stock's going to go up. I buy a call, and it doesn't go up enough, and I end up losing money and my options expire worthless. Has that ever happened to you too? Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Now, most people feel they picked maybe the wrong stock. Maybe it was the wrong strike price or the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having a buyer's mentality, we're going to have a seller's mentality. So instead of hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability, based on the previous movement of the stock, tells you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock just to go in your direction, you can pick a price. For example, this stock's at $204 a share. I think it's going to go up. So what I can do is I can select a line down at like 195 and say this. I think the stock's going to go up. If it does, I'm going to make money. As long as it stays above 195, I'm profitable. So it can go up, sideways, or even down, and I still have the chance to make money. So right from the very start, we're putting probability in your direction. Okay? Think about this. This is like if you buy a stock, right? When you buy a stock, you put a stop in place. Well, if you hit your stop level, even if it goes below your entry price, you're going to lose. This is kind of what you're doing is you're actually putting your profit level at your stop level. So we can make money as long as it stays above your stop, essentially. Now, in some cases, we could even choose higher percentages of profitability. We do a lot of our trades that start off with a 70% chance of success. Instead of 195, I chose 190. Now, you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. And this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. Now, you remember Bruce? He still continues to trade with me every week. In fact, he posts on our private group and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That is a great picture of financially free. Now, Mike is another one of our clients. He said he dabbled with options but lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each of your trades? Well, eventually he gave up. He eventually tried to learn more about options but never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He said he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he said he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. The key lesson here is that switch from buyer or gambler to seller or the casino turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his results, he sent me his trades. So here's his trades. Notice the number of winners, that's the profit column compared to the losers. That's pretty typical. Also, notice the length of his trades. 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. He was pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 11 days. Now, if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, you can start by just trading the SPX. And that's an index that trades the S&P 500. It only involves one trade per week. It's averaged about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. And you're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire. You're growing your account steadily each year. So we're not trying to have a get rich quick, become a millionaire overnight. It's all about steady returns. And that's a key takeaway here. Home runs look good, but singles are what win the games, because these singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things you want to do. All right. You've seen by flipping from the buyer to the seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Mistake number 1 is that buyers choose unrealistic strikes. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. Let me explain. Here's a stock. Now let's say you're bullish. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy calls. They think the stock's going to go up, so they buy a call. But they buy a call with their strike prices way above the market. You have a $217 stock, and you're essentially saying that unless this stock goes up $17 or $18 a share up at $230, I'm basically going to lose money. That's a terrible, terrible, terrible trade. Why do people do it? Because they treat options like lottery tickets. A cheap way to make money, cheap limited risk, right? Most of the time they lose. They treat them like lottery tickets. Now listen, since there's buyers out there who buy these options, you might as well be the one who sells it to them. You're selling an option that has a low probability of getting hit. And again, probability comes from what the stock has done in the past. It looks at what the stock moved, how it moved, and where it's likely to go in the future just based on price. When you sell these options, you have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. Now, there are people who buy puts way under the market. Why would they do it? Again, lottery tickets. They think the stock will go down, they buy a $200 put. Well, unless the stock goes down $17 to $20 a share, they're not going to make any money. Or maybe they own the stock and they're buying what's called a protective put. Doesn't matter why they do it. There's always going to be people out there buying these options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when you sell these options, they have a built-in 60 to 90% probability of success. Now, the second mistake that a lot of buyers make is they choose expiration dates that are simply too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and you see a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but unless you go home and cook it that night, it's going to be expired and you just threw your money away. And the same is ultimately true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days to expiration. So here we are in the upper left-hand corner. We're 180 days away from expiration. And you can see as we get closer and closer to expiration, the time value of that option is starting to fall. That means if you had an option out here that had a $70 value, over here, now it's only worth about 35 bucks. All the way down here, now it's worth 0. So what's happening is over the 135 days, the option lost about half of its time value. In the remaining 45 days, the option lost the remaining. That time decay value really starts picking up in the final 45 days to expiration. Unfortunately, a lot of buyers buy their options there. Why do they buy them if there's so little time left? And again, it comes back to that options are cheaper. It's like buying a lottery ticket. But by doing this, you're stacking the probability against you. So instead of buying options in that window, we're going to sell our options in that window. We're going to put that time decay in my pocket. We're going to make money off that. Now, to be more specific, we're going to sell options with a 21 to 45 day expiration. That's the sweet spot for us. Now, looking at it another way, this is Home Depot. It's from a few years ago, but it doesn't matter the time or the date. Most buyers go out there, they buy an option with an expiration out here. That right there is probably about 35 days away. But that expiration is too close. Because remember, in the final 45 days, the value of that option is exponentially decaying. So what's happening is their option that they bought for 200, 300, 400 bucks, whatever they paid for it, even if the stock goes up, the value of that option is falling because they're too close to expiration. Now, this is bad for the option buyer, but for the option seller, this is in my favor. Now remember, there's always going to be people buying options out there that have an expiration date too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino, because you're going to win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top. Notice that both stocks are right around the same price. They're within 12 cents of each other, in fact, about 76 bucks. But even though the two stocks have the same price, they have very different option prices. Over on the left, you're looking at $910 in premium. Over on the right, $180. Same expiration, same strike, same stock price. Why do they have such different option prices? Well, the one on the left has very high volatility. That leads to the option being extremely overpriced. Buyers who buy these options are paying too much. Well, what's the big deal? We're all used to paying a lot of money for things, right? With inflation the way it is. I always like to think of it as this example. My kids like strawberries. Sometimes when I go to the store to buy them strawberries, it costs me $2.50 a pint. Sometimes it costs me $6 a pint. Not real happy about that. Even though I think they're overpriced, I still buy them. Why? Because the $6 pint of strawberries, when I feed it to my kids, is going to give them the same satisfaction as the $2.50 one. It's the same product, it's the same eating. I just had to pay more for it, and that's a bummer for me. It's not like that with options. With options, it's completely different. So here's what I want you to see. We're going to simulate that both of those stocks go up about $8 a share over the next month and a half. Now, typically, this would be a very good thing. You bought a call, the stock went up, you should be celebrating, right? Well, if you bought that option on the right, you would be. You made like a 400% return on your money. Over on the left, you're not real happy. That stock went up $8 a share, and you actually lost money on the trade. How frustrating is that? Why did that buyer on the left lose? Because they ignored the high volatility. They paid way too much for that option. And it's not like the strawberries. When you pay way too much for an option, it can have devastating effects on the outcome of your trade. Now, that's a buying mistake. We're going to turn that buying mistake into a selling advantage. We are going to find these overpriced options and we are going to sell them. Why? Because it increases our profits, decreases our monetary risk, and we can even get more probability. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in the next probably 10 minutes or so. We're going to be able to stack the probability on our side even more. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he's made a bunch of the mistakes we talk about, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times, and his own words came close to living under a bridge. The options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn those mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. He said in 4 months, he grew his account by 71% with a 79% winning trade percentage. And remember, in order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now, let me ask you a question. In the chat, share with me. Have any of you made any of these buyer's mistakes before? Just do me a favor. Give me a quick shout out in the chat. Just say yes, no, anything on your mind. Mainly yes and no, though. I'm being silly. All right. Yes, 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 yes. Yep, I see it. Now, I see I've never traded options before. All right. For those of you that have never traded options before, well, number one, now you kind of know what to look for as an option buyer. But I also want to make kind of a special little appeal to you. You know, I like 2 activities in my life. I hesitate to call them sports. I like to play golf, and I like to go bowling. I'm pretty good at bowling. Actually, I'm really good at bowling. Golf, golf's a tough sport / game activity. If there was one thing in my life that I wish, in relation to golf and bowling, I wish that I could forget everything I knew about those games and go back to the drawing board and then learn from scratch. Get rid of all those bad things that I used to do or I do now that I'm trying to overcome. That's what I feel as a new option trader you can do. Learn to do it right from the ground floor. That way you don't have to worry about making any of those mistakes. That's the beauty of it. All right, listen. We've all made those mistakes. I've made all these mistakes myself. It's not our fault. We were just taught a broken system, or we were never even taught a system. Now that you know you want to be an option seller, let's look at how to trade with very little risk. When a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a low-risk strategy for selling options, which is why it's a core strategy that we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Because if you're not using the options paycheck system, you're not preserving your capital. One bad trade can wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. That makes it really hard to recover losses. So to prevent that, when you have it the right system, you're going to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. When you can confidently select stocks and set up your trade in a way that reduces risk, it allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Now, like I said earlier, home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. Now, one of my most common questions we get asked is, can I trade options from my IRA? Now, a client of ours, John, he grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our paycheck system. He said he had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than doubled the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. So let me talk about this a little bit more in depth. The options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, very similar to the graph you see here. Then, instead of selling naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do this. Now, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. What we're going to do with the options paycheck system is we're going to shrink your risk down to this. So let's show you, I'm going to show you how this works. This is, again, a graph a typical stock would be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable to be bullish on this. Now, traditionally, people would go out and they'd buy the stock here, or they would use that as their strike price, the current stock price. But remember, you're not the buyer anymore. You're a seller. Here's what you're going to do. When you think a stock will go up, you are going to go below the current price and you are going to sell a put. Now, I want to talk about this for a second. Why would you sell a put if you think the stock will go up? For those of you that have traded options, what happens when you buy a call and the stock goes up? You make money. What happens if you buy a put and the stock goes down? You make money. What happens if you sell a put and the stock goes up? You make money. Why? Because you're selling an option that decays in time. When I sell this option, I'm going to receive $200 per contract. If I did 10 contracts, I would be paid $2,000. That is the most I can make on this trade now. If the stock goes up and the option ultimately expires with no value, I can make the full $2,000. That's the beauty of it. All it's got to do that is stay above 135. Okay? And I can make up to $2,000. All right? Now, the problem with that is this. When you sell an option, it's not like when you sell something on Facebook Marketplace. Okay? When you sell something on Facebook Marketplace, maybe you sell your dining room set. Sell it for $500, right? The buyer picks it up. They take the dining room. They pay you via Cash App, PayPal, whatever they pay you by. The transaction's complete. It's over. When you sell an option, it's a little bit different. Options, and the best way to compare them, they're like insurance policies. When I buy my car insurance, I just paid that a couple weeks ago. I paid a 6-month premium. I paid them $2,000 and some bucks. I have expensive insurance, unfortunately. For the next 6 months, they are going to provide protection for my cars. If I get into an accident, right, they're going to pay for the repairs. If I don't get into an accident, the policy expires with no value, worthless, and the insurance company keeps the premium. Now, for a option, when I sell a $200 or I sell a $135 put, that comes with the obligation to buy the stock at $135 if I'm chosen to do it. Number one, I've never had to do that. In 15 plus years of doing this kind of system, I've never actually had to go out there and buy the stock, right? It's kind of like when you buy insurance. Most of the time, you're not going to get into an accident. The insurance policy can expire worthless, and you're done. However, I have the possible obligation to buy the stock at 135. What happens if all of a sudden the next day the CEO resigns, the books are cooked, and now the stock's at $100 a share? With the stock falling like that, there's a good chance that I may be forced to buy the stock for $135. Well, now I own the stock for $135 and it's only trading at $100. I just lost a lot of money. One bad trade wiped out a bunch of my gains. That's unacceptable. So what I'm going to do is I am going to insure this trade. I'm going to go out a little bit farther. I'm going to limit my risk to just this by buying a put as insurance. Now I got to pay for that. It's going to cost me $100. At the end of this trade, I'm going to get paid $100 to place the trade. If I did 10 contracts, I get paid $1,000. So I am simultaneously selling a $135 put, and as insurance, I'm buying a $130. Now, theoretically, here's what could happen. It's never happened to me, but theoretically, here's what could happen. Let's say the stock opens up at $100 a share, had a big, huge drop. Your obligation is forced upon you, and now you have to buy the stock for $135. That put that you bought as insurance gives you the right to sell it to someone else for $130. It doesn't matter if the stock's trading at 5, 10, 15, or 100. You have the right to sell that stock to somebody else for $130. You've only lost $5 on that position. That's the beauty of trading with insurance. Now, there's other good parts of having insurance. Number one, it puts together a trade that most people can do. You can do it in your IRA. You can do it in a lot of different accounts. It's very easy. It reduces your cost. It reduces your margin. It protects you against volatility. There's tons of reasons why we buy this insurance. But the big one is that disaster insurance. So now we've got a trade that we placed. We think that the stock's going to go up. If the stock goes up, the mechanism for how this trade makes money is you sold that trade. Let's say you sold it for $1,000. As the stock goes up, your options are going to decline in value. You sold it for $1,000. You can go out later and exit that trade for less money. I can exit the trade a week and a half later for $500, and I can pocket a $500 profit. Now, if the stock goes sideways, it's still the same thing. Those options are decaying. That $1,000 that you brought in when you sold the trade, you can exit that trade later on for less money and make money. This is one of the things you got to get used to as an option seller, right? When you're used to buying things, buy low and sell high, well, it's a little bit different as a seller. As a seller, you're going to want to collect a lot of money up front and then give some of that money back at the outset of the trade. So I want to collect $1,000 and then to close the trade, pay $400 or $500. That way I pocket the difference. Now, as long as the stock stays above 135, I can still make money. And if the stock drops below 135, this is the crucial part right here. If the stock drops below 135, you're going to exit the trade and take a small loss. You will stay in this trade as long as it stays above 135 until you hit your profit target. If it drops below 135, you will exit the trade and take a small proportional loss. That's it. So let's do this. I want to set up a couple of trades that I did in the past. These are some ones that I did last year with my coaching students. They're part of that 37% I made last year. I'm going to be showing you some numbers now, so I need to pay attention here. Now, first things first, when the market is bullish, we place bullish income trades. And I want to give you a little tip here. We're going to sell option strikes that give us at least a 60% probability of winning. Now, here's a stock I traded last summer, Pulte, home builder. Very nice looking stock last year. Very good uptrend. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. I'm going to go out 21 to 45 days, and I'm going to sell a put. So I think the stock's going to go up. I'm going to go to my option chain, whether it's in my broker, Options Pro, whatever. Pretty much every options broker has this information. When you look at an individual strike, it's going to give you a probability of staying above that strike. So for instance, if I look at right now, the stock's about $76. If I went out there and sold a $75 put, I have a 56% chance of staying above 75 till the date the option expires. If I went a little bit lower and looked at a $73 strike, I have a 73% chance of the stock staying above $73 a share. If I go down to the bottom, down at 70, and if I sold a $70 put, I would have a 91% chance of that stock staying above $70 and expiring with no value by expiration. Now, let me ask you a question. Taking account anything you might know about option selling, would you rather have a 56% success rate, 73 or 91%? Based on what you know, what percentage of probability would you rather trade? Be honest. No tricks. What percentage of probability would you prefer to have? Hey? Yeah, I mean, 91%. A lot of you guys are typing in 91%, 91%, 91%, 91%. Hey? So it's exactly right. Now, here's the problem. That 91% winning success rate, that may come at a cost of every winning trade's $1,000. It's not bad, right? Every winning trade, 90%. 90% of the time, I'm gonna make $1,000. But then 10% of the time, I'm gonna lose 15,000. 10 winning trades, or 10 trades. 9 winners, you make 9. 1 loser, you lose 15. You just lost all your trades with one trade. Like everything else in life, too much probability is bad. Okay, too much of anything is typically bad. Probability is the same way. We want to strike a compromise, and that compromise typically comes in the 60 to 70% range. That 60 to 70% rate of probability is going to give us probability enough to win the trades most of the time, and it's going to have risk which is equal to the reward. So let me kind of explain how this trade worked out for me. This is called a bull put spread. I sold a $73 put, and I simultaneously bought a 70 in one transaction. Bull put spread. Bull because it's something I do when the markets are bullish. Put because I used puts. Spread because I did 2 options with a $3 difference in their strike prices. Now, when I sold this trade, I took in about $1,720, roughly. So when I sold the trade, I got paid $1,720 or so. Now, when the stock moves very, very fast in your direction, you make profits pretty fast because that option starts declining rapidly. Okay, very rapidly. So what happened is I sold the trade for $1,720 or so. I want to make half of that. So right around, $875 or so. A couple days later, the value of that trade fell from $1,700 and change down to $800. I was able to exit the trade by paying my broker $870, and that trade was closed. And I walked away with $870 in profit. We don't hold the trade to expiration. I know it's kind of weird, but Ron, if you wait until expiration, you could make so much more. However, the statistics and the testing showed that if you held the trade to expiration, you actually make less money because you're giving the trade more time to go against you. So we don't want to do that. Now, when the market's bearish, we're going to place bearish income trades. Okay? Target is an example of this from last year. Target had some news events come out. They just really performed poorly last year. This is, early summer. Target was in an extended downtrend, just broke below a previous level of support. So let's zoom in. I go out there, I sell an option 21 to 45 days away. That happens to be this red line. It's probably about 30, 35 days to expiration. Okay? Probably roughly in that 30 to 35 day range. I go out, look at my option chain. It tells me that by this red bar, if I sell a 135, we have a 64% chance of this stock staying below 135 to this red bar. And again, all these probabilities are based on is prior data of this stock. That's it. How the stock has performed in the past. If I sell a 140, I've got a 76% chance of staying below that by expiration. If I sell a 145, I have an 85% chance of staying below 145 to expiration. Now, kind of knowing what we know now, which strike would you want to pick at this point? 64, 76, or 85%. Now, again, I realize I'm not telling you everything because we only have so much time. I can't get into the nitty-gritty of everything. But knowing what you know now, what strike would you want to probably sell? I see a lot of C's coming in there. C's a good answer. B's a good answer. Nobody's mentioning A. That's good. I've kind of turned you away towards that high probability, right? Well, for those of you that answered B and C, or for those of you that didn't answer B and C, and you're kind of like in the background thinking you should answer B or C, you're right. Either one of those trades would have been acceptable. Now, here's what it comes down to. I am going to sell, in this case, I sold the B. I sold the 76% probability. I am going to sell the highest probability option that I can while maintaining a good risk reward. So if I can only sell a 64%, I will. But if I see another probability out there that's higher that I can sell but still maintain a good level of risk reward, I do it. Now, why is this one 76? It's because this had extremely high volatility. It was a very expensive option. Now, this trade's a little bit different. This is called a bear call spread. Bearish because we're bearish. Calls because now we're using calls. We're selling a 140 call and we're buying a 145. And the whole objective of this trade is for this stock to stay below 140 to expiration. Now, when I did this trade, I got about a $1,530 premium. So when I entered this trade, I got paid $1,530. Now, this is more of a typical trade. 7 days later, I was able to exit that trade for 50% profits. I sold around $1,530. I exited by paying the broker back $760 of it, and I exited my trade. How was I able to exit the trade for less? Because the market moved in my direction, the options decayed in time, even 7 days later, and the value of that trade that I sold declined. So I was able to exit the trade, get rid of my obligations and everything, and take in about $765. And look, the stock didn't even go very far. I took the trade probably around 130. The stock went down to 127. It was still enough to make money. We're not holding these trades to expiration. We never do. We don't have to because we look for these profits. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. And prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and felt very unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way too? Like there's something more out there? Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and would provide more of a regular income with a high probability of success. He said after learning the system of being an option seller, he had 21 winners in a row and returned about 76% in 8 months. His average trade only lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how much it feels to go from inconsistent to where you're hitting at that high success rate? Well, let me ask you a question. That was Jim. How would an income system like this, what would it allow you to do in your life? Give me some examples in the chat. What would an income system like this allow you to do? 3% per month on average. Enjoy my retirement more. That's a good one. I like that. A lot of you guys are retired, you did say. So enjoy retirement, travel more, help my kids. Every time I read help my kids, I get a little bit weird. I have 3 kids, but I have really young kids. I'm 47, but my kids are 7, 4, and 3. So I always joke that the help I'll be giving you guys is my Social Security. The rest is for me. So you guys get to live off my Social Security when you're older. Travel more. I like it. Play more golf. I like to play more golf too. I like to play more golf. All right. But again, think of what this can allow you to do in your own life. All right. We said before that buying is gambling and selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor. The options paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. That's what that insurance is all about. And it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino, because keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to do it safer and with a higher degree of success than just simply buying and selling stocks. Now, I want to put this together. I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who've implemented this system have told me that they think this is the most important thing they've learned. And why? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is, how much time is it going to take me? You're retired. You don't want to be sitting in front of your screen all day, or maybe you're still working. You don't have time. Here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find the right one. You got to pick the right option strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What if it goes against you? When do you get out? All that stuff. And with all that information, people feel like it's trying to find a needle in a haystack. You don't know where to look. You're spending hours researching trades or going from guru to guru looking for advice. Without a good system, you're like a mouse in a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades and get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. But to do that, you need a system, not just any system. A straight line system, a simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. No one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There are 6 pieces, the top 5 build each other, and then the 6th kind of ties it all together. We start off at the top with market direction. And a lot of traders just ignore this and they go out and start placing trades. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish, right? So you got to know which way the market's moving. We're narrowing our focus. So I'm not looking for trades that are going up and down all the time. If the market's bullish, I'm trading bullish. If the market's bearish, I'm trading stocks bearish and market. We save a lot of time by doing this, and we're stacking probability. Our paycheck system has a timing signal built in that we use that tells us the market direction. Once we have the market direction, it's time to find stocks. We want to find stocks that are going up when the market's going up, stocks that are going down when the market's going down. Okay? So just trading the stocks that you know are ones that you're hearing about in the news. It's not the right way to do this. All right? Our system uses, and it saves a lot of time in 2 ways. We use fundamentals and trend analysis, price trend, graphs. We have pre-built searchers in our VectorVest platform, which we use instead of digging through all that data that's out there. Now that you got your list of stocks, you want to find a way to select the best ones for option trading. Not every stock is going to have a suitable option candidate. First, we look at volatility. We want to find those expensive options because we want to reduce our risk. Then we want to filter out any upcoming earnings events. Earnings can throw a big wrench into our stock trades. We want to make sure we're not doing that. Then we want to make sure we're using the right expiration to get into that expiration sweet spot. There's a lot of tools out there from brokers to help with this. Some really good tools. I happen to have a proprietary search tool which finds these in just a matter of seconds for me. Now it's time to set up the trade. We want to pick the one that has the highest probability of success based on the percentage of the strike that we looked at, kind of like what we did in Pulte and we did in Target. But the key here is risk reward. We want to make sure that we have the highest probability with the proper risk reward. There are going to be some trades that you look at that you cannot take because the risk reward is off. We want to make sure we have that right. It's a very important, crucial step of this. Now that you got your trade set up, before you place it, we want to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade like a deer in the headlights, frozen because you don't know what to do. We have rules to take profits at predefined levels, kind of like I showed you earlier. Okay? If the trade goes against you, we have an optional adjustment strategy that can help you reduce your losses. And I also know where to exit the trade, not only for profits, but also to exit to take that small proportional loss. And with some brokers, you can actually set these orders up ahead of time. That way you just get hit on your trade. It's very unemotional. It's automatic. And then last, a tool to do this efficiently. Something that allows you to do these things that you're comfortable using. You don't want to be spending all day. Now, some brokers have great tools for this. IB has great tools for this. Thinkorswim has good tools. E-Trade, Fidelity, all have good tools for this. Some people might find some paid tools to be effective. I like to use our proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro because it saves me a lot of time. Now, speaking of time, it's one of the things that Hugh had talked about. Hugh was looking for an efficient system that worked. He was retired and spent way too much time not doing the things he wanted to do. Are you like that too? You don't have that proper work-life balance? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners, returned over 26 grand in 4 months. And again, 15 plus minutes a day. Just like you heard Mike earlier, just like you heard Jim. These are consistent stories from different people. Now, I want you to do this. I want you to take your pen. Put a little star next to the part of your system where you're good. So for example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, put a little star there. If there's an area where something isn't working or you need a little bit of work, put a frowny face there. For example, if you don't know how to manage or repair a trade, put a frown there. Don't overthink it. Take about 10 seconds. I want you to judge yourself. Give yourself a grade on the 6 parts of the trading plan. I'll give you about 10, 15 seconds to make your selections. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So do me a favor, share with me in the chat, what areas do you need to work on? I'll give you a couple seconds to type them in there. All right, first one, new to options, so everything from option down. Trade management, I see. Trade management's that's an important one. Trade setup, risk reward. That's one of the biggest failure points of an option seller is they don't manage that risk reward properly. Everything, I'm new to trading. Okay, that's cool. That's the cool thing about what we do. We can teach you how to do everything. Okay, a source to find options candidates. Trade setup. So that's cool. That's good. If you don't have any weaknesses, that's great. I hope you don't. Now, if you have them, you're in good shape. But if you don't, we need it to get to where you have stars all the way down. Because once you do, you'll be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know the exact reasons for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you're trading blindly. You're bumping from one wall into the next. And it's left you with inconsistent results. You make some money, but then you give it all back on your next trade. Kind of like what Jim talked about before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've just been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now today, I showed you the secret to fixing that, and it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw, by being a seller, it's possible to win if you're wrong. By using insurance and understanding risk reward, you can do it with very little risk. It's even less riskier than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system that helps you get consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the shift to generating your consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Now remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows the secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who are going to be making those mistakes that we talk about. We can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those out there. As long as they're there gambling, we may as well be the casino because the old saying, the house always wins in the end, exists. The options paycheck teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like you saw Brian do, and Bruce, and Bob, and Jim, and Hugh, and John. Now, if you're like most, you're probably thinking, how do I implement this in my portfolio now? Well, you have a choice. Option number 1, you can do absolutely nothing. If you stay where you are. If you already have enough to retire and you're not worried about running out of money, or maybe you're already good at this kind of stuff, then you don't need the paycheck system. But if you would like to make a little bit of extra income every month, then that leaves you with 2 other options. You can do it alone. Try by trial and error. Learn all about options. Understand risk reward. Find good stocks. Find good market direction. If you put in the work, a lot of time and effort, a lot of trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But option 3, why not let us guide you through it? In just a few weeks, I'll walk you through the system and you'll have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. Out of those 3, ask yourself what's going to be easier for you. You know, we find there's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never take action or do anything to make it happen. Person number 2 is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. And since you're still with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number 2, and that makes you the perfect candidate to get that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using options, even if you've never traded this before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options. It shows you exactly how to find, set up, and manage option spreads to generate income and how you can do it safely and consistently in any type of market condition, so you never have that fear of running out of money. After going through this experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy option turns, so you no longer have that fear of options. You're going to get clear signals telling you when to trade bullish, bearish, or when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that have the best candidates for you using a rules-based approach. That's going to free up a lot of time. We're going to set up income trades that give you a 70% chance of success based on probability. It's a statistical chance. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trade. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades to your broker like you're a pro, whether it's your first trade or your 500th. You're going to implement a system that generates income safely and consistently. Now, the course is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is the system for consistent income. The first 2 modules are what we call the option income foundation. A lot of people try to build successful portfolios on an income, but they base it on a weak foundation of knowledge. And we understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome from module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work. That way you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which terms you can ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated with all this knowledge that's useless. Module 2, we're going to introduce the concept of building spreads, how they work. You're going to be filled with confidence that you know how to use those spreads, the bull put and the bear call, to build your income system properly. Now that you got that solid foundation of options knowledge, we're going to lay out the step-by-step plan to placing income trades that generate your paychecks. Each step along the way stacks probability in your favor and it reduces risk, and it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all possible trades, you're going to narrow your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade or a bearish trade and even when not to trade. After you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more in your favor. And the outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your list of stocks, we're going to narrow it down to the best options candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. By using the rules in this module, you'll make sure that you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up the trade. Here, you're going to make sure your trade has the perfect combination of risk to reward, and you'll know exactly where to set your strikes. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly from the beginning. Now that you got your high probability trade picked out and you're ready to go, in Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You're never going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights ever again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react, and that allows you to trade completely stress-free. Now that you got your best stock, you got your low risk, high probability option trade, you mapped out your management plan, now we place the trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase and the broker into simple, repeatable steps that you can commit to muscle memory in no time. We put everything you need into a checklist, that way you never miss a step. So when someone's first starting out, it's always comforting to have that security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. And placing trades with your broker can be very intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we put together a click-by-click direction for the most popular broker, Thinkorswim. Now, before we talk about the low price of the course, I want to make it even more low risk for you. The course has a 100% money-back guarantee. You can go through the entire course. If you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of finishing the course. You get all your money back. It's no risk. The only caveat here is we ask that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes live or watch the recordings. Either way, it doesn't matter. Do the assignments, do the work, because we know if you do, you're going to get those results. So if you don't complete the class, you won't be eligible for a refund. The reason I formed the policy around that is because I only want to track those who are excited to jump in, they're ready to do the work, and they want to get the results. So I think it's a really simple compromise. Just do the work. Just take the class. If you do and you don't like it, then you have that money back guarantee to back it up. And remember, with this system, you're going to be learning the system that averages about 3% per month. That's 36% per year on average. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. I got this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade, and so far I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades, and I only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk-reward. Thank you again for teaching this simple but effective system. Couple things to note here. I take on average about 12 to 15 trades per month. It looks like Joe's taking about 30 trades per month. That's fine. If you want to put that kind of time into the system and maybe take a little more time, you're retired, you have more time to do this, that's cool. This system scales up or down nicely. I find my happy zone is in that 12 to 15 trades a month, you know? But look at Joe's results. $100,000 in profits over that time. That's beautiful. Now, if I'd have asked Joe before he took the class, hey, I'll give you 100 grand if you give me 2, think he would have taken that trade? Would you? Well, I got a nice offer I'm going to be making you here in a second. Now, before we talk any more about it, I want to point something out. Please understand, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something we should expect to be a millionaire in the next 24 hours, right? It's not how this works. It's serious, requires some effort on your part. So if you can't do it, don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work, get the results, then the Options Paycheck course is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full complete income generating system. These training modules alone are worth the price of the course, but we got some amazing bonuses for you as well. Bonus number 1 is what we call the Mastery Package. And the Mastery Package includes module by module mastery sessions. Each week, we're going to have 2 live mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module to help you master the course material, and on Friday, an additional live Q&A. So you're going to get 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The way the course works is, when you sign up, you get all 8 modules. We want you to do 2 modules a week. Then we're going to discuss it in those module mastery sessions. We record those. If you can't make them live, it's not a big deal. We also include a private dedicated email support that goes right to me and my team. If you don't already have it, we're going to give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro for about 7 weeks. It starts in May, and it goes through the length of the live curriculum. So with this mastery package, you're going to have the tools and support you need to master the techniques taught in the course. That way you're ready to place that trade in the shortest time you can. Now, the second bonus is called the Implementation Month. You're going to get access to our live trading sessions. During those sessions, you'll watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. Plus, I'll show you how I manage my existing trades each week. This is such a huge bonus. You're going to see the Paycheck system in action. You can follow along in your own account if you want to. Remember I showed you that 37% return I had last year? That's where I did it, in my live trading and coaching room. You're going to get access to that. I'm also going to hold the live office hours twice a week. We're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students, and this is one of the favorite parts of the course because watching that repetition really helps cement the concepts and process for them. And again, if you can't view them live, we record it all for you that you can watch within a couple hours at the end of the class. Lastly, if you're worried it might be too much, I'm including the SPX Paycheck bonus. This is where we take the entire course concept, boil it down into something you can do on 1 trade a week, 15 minutes at most. 1 trade on 1 ticker, 1 setup rule, 1 profit, 1 stop. Simple. It's easy. My teammate Brian taught this to his then 14-year-old daughter, and she was able to do it. For a lot of my students, the only trade they use. So as a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete Options Paycheck training module, program, modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything you need, the bonus mastery package, the implementation month, and the SPX Paycheck system. The total value of today's offer, $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. If you're serious about it and you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options before. You're going to do this. We can do this together. So if you want to join me and have me take you by the hand and help you install an option income system in your portfolio, then instead of the $5,000, the early bird price of the course is only $12.95. However, since you've spent about an hour with me, I want to do a special deal for those of you that came to the webinar. If you order it before the end of the webinar, instead of paying $12.95, you can do it for $9.95. That means you're going to get the full course, 1-year access to the course, the mastery package, the implementation month, 7 weeks of Options Pro and VectorVest to time along with the live portion of the course, all for that $9.95. Once we finish the course, or once we finish the webinar today, the price goes back to $12.95. So go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself signed up. And listen, I know $9.95 is a lot to ask up front, but ask yourself what it's going to cost you not to do this. How much money are you going to lose out by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it actually worked? There's a saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for secure retirement? Or it will be the day you look back on where you squandered a great opportunity to create that consistent income stream? Don't miss this opportunity. I don't want you to regret the decision you make. I look forward to working with you in class. So again, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar. If you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest possible price, go to www.optionspaycheck.com. After the webinar, the price will increase to $12.95. I don't want you to miss out, so don't wait. Okay? And hey, if you know what's right for you, let me know. Give me a shout out. Now, before we start the Q&A, I want to talk about the most common questions. First one is, when are the live sessions and what if I miss one? So as I said, you can do the class via the live sessions and the recordings. You can do them all via recordings. The class formally kicks off next Tuesday, August. I wish it was August. April 30th at 4:30 p.m. with our welcome session. That welcome session is designed just to make sure you know where all of the curriculum and all the materials are for the course. We want you to watch modules 1 and 2 by next Wednesday and Thursday. Because on Wednesday and Thursday at 4:30, we're going to get together and have a live mastery session. That's where we talk about any questions you have. I walk you through the assignment. I walk you through the quizzes. I just want to make sure that you're understanding and ready to implement these modules. Friday is our open Q&A. There's no preset agenda. We just come in there, you ask questions, we make sure you know what everything is. If you can't attend any of these live sessions, don't worry. I record them all. In fact, if you can't make the live session but you have a question, send it to me via email. Say, hey, Ron, can you talk about this in the mastery or the Q&A? I'll talk about it, answer your question. You can watch the recording after it's done. All perfect. So as you can see, through the month of May, this is when we're going to teach you the 8 modules. Then, in the last week of May, we're going to start implementing. You're going to be invited to my SPX and my stock trading classes. I do those on Mondays. You can see the holiday on that Monday, so we do it on Tuesday. You're going to be invited to all those. Again, we record them all for you. So if you can't make it live, not a big deal. We also have those office hour sessions, 4:30 on Wednesday and noon on Friday. We're going to continue to build trades, answer questions, make sure you're ready to implement this. For those of you that work during the day, that Wednesday 4:30 class is a great one because I teach you how to look for trades after the market closes for the next trading day. And again, if you can't see it live, it's no big deal. Just watch the recording. We record everything. You know, one of our other clients who took the course, Greg, said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me. And I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I could afford to lose. After taking the Options Paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 for my options income trading with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done and very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity and I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You will make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time when I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking this program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciative of the work that was put into making this training program available. Love to hear that. Another one, for those of you that are newer to options, how much options experience do you need? We send a poll to every one of our course graduates. And over the since 2016, 85% of the course graduates said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. We teach this in a way where we're going to teach you from the ground floor. You can do it. Just a couple more testimonials here. Cheryl, I really surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trades I'm doing. Cam, I made the initial investment over so many times. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. And just a couple more announcements from some of our more recent students. Neville, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, and your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of effort into the training manual, and I've already paid for the tuition with a few 35 Delta SPX trades. David, the Options Paycheck experience is by far the best course I've ever attended all my years with VectorVest. You've eliminated my fears of trading options. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions was above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning much easier. Great job. So again, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live on the webinar, and after the webinar, it goes up to $12.95. And then registration closes next Tuesday at 10 a.m. So get out there, take advantage of that $9.95. If you've never taken the course, this is the lowest price you're going to get. All right? All right, what we're going to do now, we are going to switch over to our Q&A mode. I'm going to bring in my colleague Brian, and he's been in the background answering questions, watching the chat, and all that great stuff that he does. And we are going to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Thanks, Ron. You actually did a great job of answering a lot of the common questions there at the end. So you saved a lot of time here in the Q&A. So for those of you who are in, welcome. You should get an email from us by the end of the day. It's probably going to come pretty quickly. That email will have all the directions to get into the course. We highly recommend you actually get into the course. Like Ron just said a little while ago, get in there. You can even jump ahead to the S&P training, which is a bonus. You can learn that system probably this afternoon or this evening, and maybe even start placing those trades next week, right, in the first session. But Ron, like I said, you answered a lot of the questions, but I think just to kind of reinforce the things that you were saying about the recordings and the live session dates and all that, I think probably one of the cool things that you do is actually you show people what the course looks like, so they can actually, those who have ordered, they're going to see what it's going to look like when they hop in, and those people who are thinking about it will be like, holy cow, I can't believe it comes with all that stuff. So would you be able to kind of walk people through what the course looks like?
Sure. Let me get over to that page real quick. It's just loading right now. Give me 1 second. All right. So this is what the course looks like. That's not what the course looks like. This is what the course looks like. All right. So this is what it looks like when you log into our university site. You're going to see welcome to the Options Paycheck Experience, kind of a getting started thing, just a little welcome video to get you started. This is where the welcome recording is going to be that we do next week on May 1st. Actually, that looks like, I think it should be like April 30th, but it'll probably be out there May 1st. So that's going to be the welcome recording. It's not recorded yet. And then most importantly, do the course curriculum checklist. Open that guy up, and I want you to print out the checklist, because the checklist is going to kind of guide you to what we want you to do for every module. So remember, we want you to watch modules 1 and 2 before the first week. So that means go into module 1. We want you to watch the snapshot, the lessons, the module review, the action items, the questions. We want you to do all of that before the first mastery session. Then you can answer any or type any or write any questions you might have down over here to the right. Now, the most important thing on this checklist, I think, is all the way at the end. This is the schedule of all of our live events. So Tuesday, we've got our welcome. May 1st at 4:30, we got our Mastery 1. 4:30 on May 2nd, Mastery 2, and then onward all the way through the ending part of June. Now, right below that, these are the actual modules. So if you look, you see like for every module, there's like a snapshot and some lessons. If you go under the recorded lessons, there they all are. Snapshot, all the different lessons for each module, the review, the action items. One of the most important things to do for each module is the action items. We want to make sure that you're ready to implement this right away. So do the walkthroughs, do the action items. And if you don't know how to do the action items, that's okay. There's a walkthrough video for that right here. There's FAQs, frequently asked questions. And there's also right here, this is where you're going to see the mastery session recording. So after that first module, it's on May 1st. If you open that little tab up, it's going to have a date there. It'll say May 1st, 24, and then you'll click on that and you can watch the recording. Now, right now, we have kind of a placeholder in there. This is actually the recording from my one I did back in January 31st from my Paycheck class that I did earlier this year. So you can watch that right now if you want to, just to get an idea of what the mastery session looks like. But we're going to be updating that recording as we do the live ones through your class. And it's the same through all 8 modules. Same exact thing. Underneath the modules, this is where you're going to find that SPX trading system. And as Brian said, some people just go out there and start doing these trades right away. If you want to try the SPX trades, I would suggest you try the 35 Delta trade. It's a really easy one to get yourself started with. Below that, this is where you're going to find all the recordings from the weekly Q&As and then later on the office hours recording. So again, if I open up week 1, it's going to be a placeholder there from my class I did February 2nd. You can actually click on that and watch the Q&A session I did back from February 2nd. Okay? Now, what's going to happen is after we do ours, I think on May 3rd is the first date, that'll be uploaded or updated with the one that we do in your class. Down below, this is where you're going to find the recordings. This is not going to be something you're going to worry about till end of May, but this is where you're going to find all the recordings from the live trading sessions we do. And again, if you want to see what we did in the past, you can certainly go through there and look at the ones I did with my last class. Below that, there's an Options Pro tutorial section. Remember, you're going to get 7 weeks access to Options Pro during the class. If you want to learn a little bit more about the software, you can certainly open up the tutorial videos and watch it. It's not really important because we're going to show you as we go through the class how to use Options Pro to do this. Now, on that note, we're also going to show you how to do this in your broker software too. So Options Pro is a great tool for speed and efficiency, but it's not necessary. It's not mandatory that you use it. Below that, speaking of broker, here's some broker help videos. How I do things in Thinkorswim, how I do things in E-Trade, how I've done things in Interactive Brokers and Ally and Fidelity. Okay, those are the brokers that I have personally used in the past and I have directions for. Under that, this is your webinar link. Now, about 24 hours before every live class, we send a link via email. However, email, not very reliable sometimes. Spam can happen, it goes to your clutter folder. If you're ever like, I know there's a class in 30 minutes, how do I get to it? I can't find the link. All you got to do, go to the university site, click on webinar links, open up the schedule and links, and you will find a link for every live session that we do, all the way through the end of the course. Now, some of them aren't active. We don't activate those until, the week before, but every week you can go in there if you need the link. It's right there. And then last but not least, the resources section. This is where you're going to find all the materials, the handouts that you can print out from all the lessons and the slides that we do. Later on in the course in Module 7, we introduce our position sizing worksheet. In Module 8, we do our stock credit spread checklist. In the SPX trading system, we've got all our checklists for that down there. Thinkorswim order entries, trade tracking spreadsheets, basically everything you're going to need to implement this properly.
All right. Thank you, Ron. That was a nice demo. All right. So again, if you have questions, let us know in the chat. As Ron said a little while ago, registration closes in 1 week. Holy cow, Ron. It's 1 week from today where we kick things off. This $9.95 price will actually go away after today's session. If you have actually taken this class before and you're one of Ron's alumni, maybe you've taken it 3 years ago and you just want to get back in the groove and get a refresher, we do have a refresher rate for our alumni, which is $4.95. Either call our office or check your email because we would have sent you a special private link just for you. So we'll put our, John or Todd, can you put our phone number in the chat? Todd beat me to it. I got our phone number in the chat. Just give our team a call and we can get you set up with that. But again, the $9.95 rate is good while we're live here today. It'll go to $12.95 and then the registration closes for everybody. Like nobody can get in after next Tuesday until we eventually try to teach this again. So, all right. All right. So Ron, like I said, I think you covered a lot of the Q&A earlier. So I think what we could do is at this point, why don't we just start to wrap things up, folks? And if you do have questions, give our team a call and we'll help you get in and get settled and started right away. And but with that, Ron, I'm just going to pass it over to you to wrap things up for the day.
All right, sounds great. Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you to my other coworkers there that sat in the background answering questions. I appreciate it. And thanks to you guys for spending this hour and 20 minutes with me. I definitely appreciate it. I hope you learned a lot of great stuff about being an option seller, some of the stuff to do and some of the stuff to watch. And for those of you that are signing up, thank you. I appreciate your confidence in me. I look forward to working with you starting next week live. By the end of June, you are going to have a great income system in your portfolio, and you're going to love it. So thanks again. I appreciate you spending this hour and a half with me. So have a great rest of your day. Have a profitable 2024, and we'll see you next week live in the Options Paycheck Experience. Thanks again, everyone.